How's it everyone, this is Lolcohol. In today's video, I'm going to be going over how I've been juicing my maps and getting more currency out of the maps I have been running. For new players, juicing, what it means is adding difficulty or content, as in something like Breach or Delirium, to your map in order to get more out of it. So you make your maps harder, but you're getting more stuff back from it. This is a common thing that we do in Path of Exile. So how do you do this? How do you get more divine orbs to drop? There's a bunch of ways. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the actual map. So with modifiers on your map, you have prefixes and suffixes. Suffixes are things that generally increase the difficulty, but that increases the Waystone drop rate. So something like this, you can see the suffixes over on the left. It's suffixes. So this is like monster movement speed, monsters deal extra damage. That increases the Waystone drop chance. However, the prefixes are always upsides or benefits. So this has increased quantity, increased rarity, increased number of rare monsters, pack size. Those are all good things that help us get more loot. And then the suffixes are the things that make the map harder but give us more Waystone drop chance. I'm hoping that what they will do is make the suffixes increase the implicit quantity and rarity. One can only hope. It's a little bit weird that what we really want to do is try and get maps with as many prefixes as possible, good prefixes, and as few suffixes as possible. So how do we do this? Well, probably the easiest way is to use an Orb of Alchemy. With this, it's going to upgrade your map from normal rarity into a rare one with 4 modifiers. So here we have one. This got 3 suffixes and 1 prefix. Now, in this case, we know that a rare item can have 3 prefixes, 3 suffixes. So in this case, what we can do is we can use an Exalted Orb to try and get more prefixes. So we can hit it twice. This one, magic monsters, rare monsters, experience gain. This one isn't very good. The types of modifiers we're really looking for are things like increased quantity of items, increased rarity of items, additional magic monsters, additional rare monsters, and then pack size. Those are all super nice. So you can see these are ones that I'm kind of looking forward to running. It has increased rarity, magic monsters. This one is a bad one. Here, increased quantity, increased rarity, increased number of rare monsters, pack size. So more monsters equals more loot. Increased rarity means better loot. Increased quantity, again, means more loot. So another one we can do like this. This one has 2 suffixes and 2 prefixes. So if we exalt this, it's either going to add a suffix or a prefix. And that one added a suffix, and this one is not very good. Another thing you can do, instead of going for the alchemy, you might end up using more exalts, but is to use an Orb of Transmutation. So this one, that's a suffix. So we want to augment it, increase number of chests. You can regal it. That's another prefix. Only has 1 more prefix. So this one has 3 prefixes and 1 suffix. We can kind of leave it. None of these have been very good yet. Here we have, this is a prefix. In this case, we could gamble and go for a regal, hoping for another prefix. If we augment, it will add a suffix. This one is a suffix. Now we kind of either have to exalt it a bunch. That's a suffix. Rare monsters, magic monsters, that's a hybrid modifier. It's actually 2 modifiers in 1. Increased number of chests. Again, not very good. Going with the alchemy is generally probably you're going to use fewer exalted orbs. This one, rare monsters have 1 additional modifier, is actually good. And an increased number of magic monsters. None of these are particularly amazing. But we do have a use for these. Rather try and look out for ones that are more like this: quantity, rarity, magic monsters, additional rare modifiers. So we have our maps. What do we do next? Next thing has to do with the Atlas. And what we are looking for are stacks of towers. So this is a very good example of stacks of towers. There are many overlapping towers. And what we can do with these towers is we can use things called emblems. These you will find while mapping, especially if you do, let's say, Breach, you will find more Breach tablets while doing Breach. So what you are looking for are lots of towers close together that are overlapping. And what you can do is you can hover over these and it'll actually show you the range of your towers. So you can see how all of these towers are overlapping. Whatever emblem you put in one of these towers affects all of the maps within that ring. Even if this has 9 maps in range contain breaches, even if some of these maps don't get those breaches, like this one, for example, it will still get the bonuses from the explicit mods. These are the explicit mods over here, the bottom ones. Those will still apply to the map, even if it misses the league mechanic you're trying to add with these tablets. So it's very important to find these stacks. I know what you're saying right now. How come I can see these rings, these overlapping rings? When I look, I don't see them. Well, I'm in the Ziggurat Refuge. For some reason, in your hideout, these rings don't show up consistently. If you're in the Ziggurat Refuge, which you can find by opening your atlas and then clicking, if I'm like far away, I can click, there's normally the boss button. If you click the boss button and then go up like this, then you can click that. There's your Ziggurat Refuge. And from here, you can see these rings. If they're not showing up, just hover over it or click it. So all of these rings, think of it like a Venn diagram. You're trying to get some maps to be overlapped by multiple towers. Then the way you want to run these towers is to run your least favorite or the worst layout maps first and try and spare as many of the good layout maps as possible, and then run the good layout maps once you have juiced up all of your towers with emblems. So over time, you'll learn which ones are the good ones. Like Vile Factory is a terrible layout, so that's a good one to path with. Rust Bowl's a very nice layout. Same with Rust Bowl. Seeming Springs, I think this one's okay. Decay, Seepage, I mean, it's hard to remember, but I know a lot of bad ones. Savannah's a brilliant map. So try and path to all of these towers in a way that you are running maps with a bad layout, ones that you don't want to run fully juiced up. And then once you've done all these towers, then you can chain and do all the good maps. As for emblems, let's have a talk about these and what kind of modifiers I'm rolling on these. So one like this is really, really nice. For this, the prefix that is most preferable in this case is increased quantity of items found in your maps. So just more loot that you're getting from your map. As for the type of emblem, tablet, what I am mainly running are breach ones. You get a lot of loot from breaches, so trying to get as many maps with breach on them as possible is ideal. You will need a decent build to run breach efficiently. You can check the link in the description for my build. My build absolutely crushes breaches, so give that one a look if you're looking for a build that can do breaches. If you don't have good breach tablets with modifiers like increased quantity, then you can use the other ones. That's okay. Here are stacks of my emblems that I really like. You can see these ones have like quantity. 9 maps are irradiated, meaning they'll have +1 level. Maps contain breaches. Breaches in your maps spawn 20% increased magic monsters. Again, with the pack size, more monsters, more loot, increased quantity of items found. Similar with this, increased quantity, additional rare monsters in your breach. Breach splinters, that mod isn't that good, but I am keeping this because it's a 9-map breach with 17% increased quantity of items found. If you do find a tablet, what you can do is you can transmute and augment it and then try and get those good mods. If, let's say, you don't get good mods, like you get something like this is not really good. It's a 6-map breach with 2 bad explicit mods. This is okay. It has rarity and additional rare monster. That's actually all right. This one, increased monster density is actually good, but it's a 5 breach, so I'm not going to use that. But once you have rolled them, if you have any bad ones, what you can do is you can go over to the Reforging bench, put those in, reforge, and you get another one back. This one, increased rarity, yeah, that one's not very good. So you can slowly gather up your emblems, try and get increased quantity on them, pack size, increase rare monsters. Rarity is not bad, but I'm starting to feel like over 150% the returns are not really that much greater. So aim rather for item quantity on your emblems, and you can use these different ones. If all of your maps already have breach and you still have a tower, you can opt for like a delirium one or just an irradiated one, whatever's going to put as many monsters and as much quantity in your map. So we have thoroughly juiced up our maps. Great. Now if we hover over it, you can see over here on step, let me just move a bit out the way. Breaches have 15% increased monster density and 89% increased quantity of items found in this area. So this is all the modifiers from all the overlaps of all these towers, and 89% increased quantity of items, basically almost finding like double the amount of items. Here's another one, 77% increased quantity, 58%, 46%. So what I am planning to do, now that I've juiced up all these maps, is to run all of these back to back to back and try and get as much loot as possible. There's a little bit more. Let's just talk about our Atlas. This is pretty much exactly Fubgun's tree, and it's, I mean, he is the MF dude for a reason. So over here, it's pack size, pack size, pack size, rarity, rarity, pack size. Again, getting more monsters means getting more loot. Going over this way, this is important. Increased effect of explicit modifiers on your Waystones. Explicit modifiers are all of the ones that you see there, like all of these. So if we have something like increased rarity of items found and they're being increased by however much they're being increased, well, then you're getting those modifiers boosted further up. Of course, the downsides will also be harder, but you will be getting increased, well, you're getting increased rarity and increased quantity. So you're getting more out of your maps. Then unstable energies. Waystones have 25% more effective prefixes or 25% more effective suffixes when opening. So it's a 50-50. You're either going to get 25% more effect of the good stuff or the bad stuff. Up here, this is the good stuff. So increased effect of precursor tablet explicit modifiers on your map. So explicits, again, are these ones here. This is the implicit, this top one. These are the explicits. So increasing the effect of these, that's great, because if we have 18% quantity and it's being increased by, in this case, 24%, really good. But over here, remnants of power, 20% chance for double effect of precursor tablets on your maps. So doubling that. 3% increased effect of explicit modifiers on your Waystones for each precursor tower affecting map area. So if we look at our Atlas, if this map is being hit by like 7 different towers, well, then it is getting 21% increased effect of those explicit modifiers, which if those are rarity or quantity, that's really good. Heading down this way, more rarity, increased effects of modifiers. Here, increased effects of explicit modifiers on your Waystones for each explicit modifier, quantity, quantity, quantity. And over here, deadly evolution, rare and unique monsters in your map have 1 to 2 additional modifiers. When they have more modifiers, they will drop more stuff and better stuff. So this makes them harder, but again, it makes them drop better stuff. As for the breach setup, in order of how I did this, you can get these points by opening the Twisted Domain, which you get by completing your breach zones. So you'll find these splinters in your breaches, I believe from tier 11 up. Once you get 300 of these, you get a breach zone. When you take this to your map device over here, what you want to do is click this little boss button again. You're going to go up here just to the right of your ziggurat. You're going to click this, put in your breach zone and open it. That's going to open up a boss fight. If you're successful at the boss fight, you'll be granted 2 points. And then as you allocate points and then repeat the fight, you get more points. So the way I did this was Frantic Invasion. I got this first for increased quantity of breach splinters. does make your breaches harder. The monsters, you take increased damage, but you're finding more breach splinters, meaning you can get your breach stones more quickly. Then I went for breaches in your maps at 40% increased monster density. After that, crumbling walls. Your maps which contain breaches have a 15% chance to contain an additional breach, a 5% chance to contain 3 additional breaches, and a 2% chance to contain 10 additional breaches. I've had this a few times where you get 10 breaches in your maps. It's mayhem, but you get tons of loot. Very, very fun one. And then grasping hands. Class hands in your maps have 25% chance to be guarded by a pack of magic monsters. So more monsters, more loot. Breaches in your map have 50% more clasped hands. I might experiment with something like this, interdimensional assault or sustained siege. If you have a little bit of a slower build, breach in your maps open and close 30% slower, you can opt for something like that. But this is how I have it so far, and it has been very good. Another thing that I should mention is Delirium. A way you can further juice up your maps is to use these Distilled Envies. These drop from Delirium. What you can do is you can right click one of these and then you can pop in a map. Let's say I have a really nice map, and then you can do this. You can pop these in. It's similar to anointing your amulet, but it's anointing a map. This will add difficulty to your map. 30% delirious. This means that in PoE 1, more delirious meant that monsters had increased damage reduction and dealt increased damage. So they are stronger and they hit harder. I'm not 100% sure. It's probably the same in PoE 2, but I'm not 100% sure. But these things will add, again, difficulty, but you get something out. So in this case, 24% increased rarity of items found in this area. You can also go for something like this. Increased Waystones found. These are all the cheapies. This one is increased magic monsters. You can pop that on. Those are good cheap ones. Here is pack size. Again, more monsters, more loot. And then I'm sure there are more expensive ones you can use that give you even more. But if you're just like a beginner juicer, you can opt for either rarity or pack size. I would probably go with pack size. I will see what other people recommend, but that's what I would do. I'm actually not running Delirium. Delirium, the music is depressing. The color scheme is depressing. It's all depressing. When it comes to Path of Exile, I never do anything that's unfun, and I find Delirium extremely unfun. So I don't actually ever use these. I don't care if I'm missing out on some loot. If I get to see colors and hear not depressing music, it is all worth it. Then the last piece of the puzzle is to do with magic find on your actual character. In my case, I have about 166% increased rarity. That is all coming from gear. So increased rarity over here, increased rarity on my ring, increased rarity, increased rarity, increased rarity. This is completely anecdotal, so take this with a grain of salt. I went from about 0% magic find to 50%. That was the most significant change where I really noticed, okay, I'm finding way more exalted orbs. Going from 50 to 100% was also a pretty big jump. However, going from about 100% to 200%, that wasn't as significant of a jump. But again, this is anecdotal. I haven't done any scientific data to back that up, but it's just from the amount of maps I've run, I really felt that first 100% of magic find you get is the most impactful. So if you can get up to 100, even if you can only get like 80, I think you're going to be seeing a significant increase in the amount of high value currencies that you are finding. About 150, even that might be excessive, especially if you have increased rarity on your maps, but aim for like 100 to start out if you can. But if you can get it higher, a little bit more won't hurt, as long as you're not really sacrificing a huge amount of power to push that number up to the point where you're not really getting as much effect out of it as you would if you had better gear and could do your maps more quickly. But I think that's it for now. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stream today. I'm going to run all of these maps. I'm going to keep track of all the loot I find. And then if you like, what I can do is in the next video, I can show you all the stuff I found from doing all of these juiced maps. So let me know in the comments, you want to see that? You want to see a highlight reel of all the drops? But yeah, let me know what you think. If you've got any other tips for MFing and juicing your maps, let me know in the comments below. But that is going to be it. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. I'll catch you in the next video and on stream. Bye-bye.